We're a few hours away from a presidential address to the nation, but you won't see this broadcast on the big broadcast networks because officially the White House didn't even request network airtime. Of course, CNN is going to bring you complete special live coverage before, during, and after the president's remarks on immigration. He promised months ago that if Congress couldn't pass a bipartisan reform plan, he would act on his own, which he is now about to do, and that through the form of an executive order. Among other things, he's expected to focus on deportation efforts on illegal immigrants who commit crimes and spare the law-abiding undocumented parents of kids who were actually born here, who are U.S. citizens. And joining me now from Capitol Hill to hash out this whole debate, Congressman Joaquin Castro, the Democrat from Texas, and Congressman Sean Duffy, the Republican from Wisconsin. And I'm going to start with you, if I could, Congressman Duffy. It all sounds so good when you hear it in the headlines, helping keep the families together, deciding when Congress won't work, the president will. What's wrong with what the president's doing?
So first off, the president had an opportunity to pass immigration reform when he had the Senate and the House. His first 2 years of his presidency, he said no. He also said he can't do this because he's not an emperor. He said it's not lawful, and he's going to do it anyway. But I think what the biggest concern that even the Hispanic community has, because less than half of Hispanics agree with executive orders on immigration, but they do agree with immigration reform, they're concerned that it doesn't give them security. It doesn't give them a long-term, knowable immigration reform package. They know this is short-term, and that short-term package could be overturned by the next president. It could be overturned by the courts. And when they don't have security, they understand that's a risk to their community. Not only that, Ashleigh, this is going to deal with 5 million people potentially. There's another 10 to 15 million Hispanics who are here without documentation who are going to have the whole immigration debate in the House blown up, and nothing's going to happen, and they're going to be left out to dry.
Okay, so Congressman Castro, your state, I think your governor just said this morning that Texas spends $12 million a month on securing the border. And if what Congressman Duffy just said is true, is it true that many Hispanic people feel that that's the wrong way to go about this, that they don't agree with executive action, that it is ruling as an emperor?
No, I disagree with the numbers in the argument, although we'll have to compare notes later. But the fact is the president is doing the right thing. America has waited many years for Congress to tackle comprehensive immigration reform, and particularly over the last 2 years, there were enough Democratic and Republican votes for Speaker Boehner to put a bill on the House floor and for it to pass. And if that had been done, then this executive order would be unnecessary. And so the president was very clear. He gave the Congress a long time to act. The Republican leadership refused to act, and so the president is taking action. And I think he's doing the right thing.
So when the two of you pass each other in those hallowed halls behind you, do you have the kind of conversation that we're having, which is at each other? Or do you have quiet, thoughtful, introspective conversations about how to actually work through this instead of working towards the interviews on cable news, which will help you with your constituencies, but really paralyzes everything on Capitol Hill?
I noticed that Joaquin has some sharp elbows. He's jabbing me here. Now, listen, I mean, it's important that we have these dialogues, and I'm one who agree with immigration reform. Now, there's probably a lot of points on immigration reform that the two of us agree on. There's probably a few that we don't, but it's not insurmountable that we can't get to an agreement.
Then why 511 days? Why,
well, listen,
if there are so many things that you can agree on, what's wrong? What's happening?
We are a co-equal branch of government. If I think we should act, but if we choose not to, that is our prerogative. And you know that the president has talked about this for some time, and Republicans won a historic majority. Joaquin's party hasn't had less seats in 80 years. We just won control of the Senate. I do think we have to get it done, but we also have a balance of power and a constitution that I think we have to follow. And if you usurp that, if you jump ahead and say, I'm going to do it on my own, I think that undermines the whole process that makes this country great, which is our rule of law.
Congressman Castro, look, the president has made no secret of not being a huge fan of executive action, and then here he is even saying that he has a strong pen and a telephone. My concern, not only for what this is going to do and how members of Congress are going to deal with it afterwards, whether it's by, going after the budget or whether it's, suing the president or blocking the nominees or, oh my God, maybe even impeachment.
Right.
My concern is for what your relationships are going to be like, the two of you and everybody else who has to go to work every day in the next 2 years and beyond. Is this executive action going to be so ugly that there will be no getting past anything anymore because of the animosity that it generates?
I don't think so, and I hope not. You know, as the president has said and the White House has said, just because you disagree on one policy issue doesn't mean that that should spoil your relationship with every policy issue. There are a lot of other big, important things, obviously, that the American people care about. And so, you know, I hope that this will start congressional action and not close off congressional action. And also, you know, I think it's important to know and to remark that there were 5 Republican presidents that have taken action on immigration, executive action on immigration. And so the president is being very consistent with what other presidents have done in dealing with this situation.
But Ashleigh, we have a new Congress that's about to be sworn in January. Why can't the president wait? He was going to do this in the summer, and he waited off until September. Then he waited till after the elections. He can actually wait, and there's going to be no harm done. But if you look at what's happened with the Republican Party, Marco Rubio, a Republican from Florida, had a Dreamers bill that helped deal with the kids who've come here no fault of their own. The president, instead of letting that bipartisan bill come out of the Senate, he jumped ahead of them with DACA. And then as you had John Boehner, Kevin McCarthy, Eric Cantor, Paul Ryan, our leadership, working in the spring and the summer to get an immigration bill out of the House that was the work of the House, we saw all the kids come from Central America to our southern border, which I think totally has thrown us off track. So the president has a huge role in undermining the bipartisan work that's happened in this institution. And we do want to work together. We do want a long-term solution on immigration reform.
And both
this
sides
is
say
not
it,
the answer to it.
And both sides have said it, and I think
time.
just to what you're saying, Congressman Duffy, is that, you know, Dick Durbin had just said moments before you, oh, 511 days, how much time do you need? So there's definitely that debate on either side. Here's what I love. When I began in cable news about, I don't know, 14, 15 years ago or so, I used to get interviews all the time exactly staged the way they are right now. A Republican and Democrat who stood beside each other and did these conversations. And can I tell you, it's getting less and less frequent that you will agree to do these things. So I applaud you and commend you for coming out together. And I encourage you to continue doing this and tell your fellow congressmen to do this as well. Show up together and debate each other and discuss.
I've been doing this for 14 years.
Do you know what's awful? There was 15 years before cable news, so it's really like closer to 30. It takes a village. I don't just roll out of bed looking like this. Gentlemen, thanks a lot. Appreciate talking to you.
Thanks for having us.
Bye-bye. All right, so we got a lot of other things on the agenda for today.